Hey everyone, Lotus Prince here, and it is time to do a Q&A. You have submitted questions, and I will provide the answers. Let's go ahead and take a look at these one by one. First of all, Jason Howarth asks, what's your hype level for the System Shock remake by Night Dive Studios? I know for me, I'm super excited, especially considering that it'll not only be available for consoles too, but it'll also feature a lot of the vocal talent, including Shodan and music from the original classic. I am hyped, but I really need to play the original version. I've flaked on that. I gotta play the original version so I can appreciate what's been kept the same, what's changed and how, etc. But I do look forward to it. Manny Stovall says, have you played 007, The World Is Not Enough, on the PS1 and N64? Actually, no, I haven't. I played GoldenEye, and I played Nightfire and Agent Underfire on the GameCube, but I missed The World's Not Enough for whatever reason. What's the funniest glitch in a game you've played? Oh, that's tough. That's actually tough. I don't know, maybe just silly stuff like in Ride to Hell Retribution. This isn't really a glitch, but the game just crashing and lingering on the sound of the motorcycles running, or that loud noise you hear in the Let's Play when I fire a bullet and then sound just disappears and then it comes back. I don't know what that was. Tony, how old are you? 35. Nearly 36. It's coming in a few weeks. What's your favorite horror movie of all time? It's very rare that I can answer your best of, but there's a chance I might go with John Carpenter's The Thing. I just love that movie. Beautiful slow burn and unbelievable special effects. Matthias Gallardo Araya, do you like football? And if so, which team? Nope, I'm sorry. I do not care about either football. American football, soccer, whatever, not interested. Neon Wave, you have stated in the past that there are some games you won't do LPs of due to either the content and themes or the length of cutscenes. Yeah, like Metal Gear Solid. Some titles you listed off are Persona and Metal Gear Solid games. Yeah, Persona, oh god, I've played Yakuza Like a Dragon. That's a Dragon Quest game. So I know Persona is not Dragon Quest, but turn-based endless RPGs, that took forever when I was just binging the game on my own. And Metal Gear Solid is just a movie that's disguised as a video game. But in recent years, have there been any games you planned on doing an LP of but decided not to because of the rules you placed for yourself? Not an LP, but a stream. I was going to do the Silver Case, the Suda 51 game, the visual novel. I did actually record the demo of that when it was coming out. I considered streaming it, but then I started streaming The Town of Light. I didn't know what that was. Weird, creepy game, rated M, don't know why. It was one of those walking simulators, and then there was a flashback that got extremely not safe for work, and I was like, and I banned the chip immediately. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to actually Google why the Silver Case is rated M. I know it tells you on the box, like, violence, sexual themes, but Town of Light was sexual themes. I didn't know what kind they were. And so for the Silver Case, I figured, let's look up why it's rated M. And then I saw, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not get taken surprised by this live, thank you. Maybe I'll record it later, but ooh, yeah, I'm not going to be streaming that one. Groovy George, what other hobbies do you like to do that isn't video games? I'm a big reader. I certainly like that. And these next two, unfortunately, I am insanely out of practice of, but I at least did like playing the piano and playing tennis. Those are quite enjoyable. Thakafon, how did you enjoy your experience doing the Corrective and Reactive consciousness podcasts? I mean, I liked them. I did them for over 5 years. It's a great way of keeping in contact with my friends. There's just an excuse to just talk about your week every week, and as well as delve into our hobbies, each of us providing things that the other may not necessarily know. It's a good time. What's your favorite part about your Discord experience in general and with your channel? For either, I just kind of like the camaraderie of whichever groups I happen to be a part of. And I rather enjoy streaming or watching other people stream games on my channel or on their channel. I do Dungeons and Dragons on a different Discord channel with some other friends of mine, so that stuff is just thoroughly enjoyable. If you could visit a fictitious restaurant or taste the food of a fictitious world, which one would you like to try out? I don't know, probably one of those anime series where it's all about the food. You know, like the whole thing is it's about a chef or something, where they present the food and it does that thing where it sparkles somehow, like when Sanji makes food in One Piece or whatever. I don't know if I have a specific series, but one of those where the whole point is just looking delicious. Luca95, is there a game story twist that really surprised you? You know, like, whoa, I did not see the game going in that direction. Oh man, there probably is. I gotta think about this though. I mean, this is getting old, but just the idea that in Silent Hill 2, and I'm not going to go too specific, but the idea that in a video game, the basic premise could have been established by an unreliable narrator, so the entire thing I'm playing was, like, not quite the way I thought it was. Or even, this is a weird, funny thing to bring up, but the Neo Geo arcade shooter Cyber Lip, I thought that was some kind of translation error. It's not. The final boss is like a robotic set of lips. Like, why? But when you finally take it down, that guy between the missions, like, good job, now go to the next level, like that guy, he goes like, well done, now we can conquer Earth, and his eyes glow, and you're like, oh, I was the bad guy, and you don't know if you were tricked by him, or if your character knew, but you, the player, didn't. That was a weird thing to have a twist in. Wesley Machado, what do you think about Dying Light and Sekiro? I don't think about Dying Light, not interested. Sekiro, I actually have recorded an entire platinum Let's Play of the game, so get ready for that in the nearish future. What's your oldest gaming memory? Probably playing like Jump Jet on MS-DOS. If you don't know Jump Jet, think of Defender on the NES, except it's on MS-DOS. I think I uploaded a brief video of it, actually, a while ago on my channel. Living Corpse. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? I don't know, I never think of stuff like that. Like, whatever makes life easier, who the hell knows? I don't know, strength or speed or something, whatever. What tends to be your favorite powers in works of fiction? I don't know if it's necessarily favorite powers, but now that I've followed One Piece and Jojo a lot, it's more like incredibly clever use of powers. Because, like, you see Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. He has done some clever stuff with that, but a lot of, especially the old comics, he's like, I'll stretch so I can reach this thing from far away. And you're like, okay. But then you see what Luffy can do, and you're like, oh, there's a lot of options with rubber powers. So, who knows? Moises Mendoza. Since when have you been a fan of Jojo? Mid-2000s. Almost, not as early as possible for an American, but pretty early. I missed out on the PS1 fighting game, and even if I did know about it, I wouldn't have bought it because it's just some weird anime thing I've never heard of, so I would have missed out. But I eventually, I don't know how I came across it, but I saw some of the super moves in that game on YouTube in some compilation. I was like, what is this? How do you control two characters at once? What's happening? So I looked into the series, and I started reading manga scanlations, and very much enjoyed it. And eventually picked up the DVDs, which some of those are hard to find now, but at the time, just nobody felt like buying them, because, like, I don't know what this is. So I got on it, and I've been following ever since. So some mid-2000s, let's say. No. Let's say late 2000s. Let's say 2008, 2009. I think it was in that range somewhere. So maybe as far as JoJo Media, I was a couple years into it. A few years into it. Which is... well, no, I don't know, maybe a decade. Maybe a decade, because PS1 would have been late 90s, right? maybe a decade late of official Jojo media, but there was barely any Jojo media. So I was still on the early side for a Westerner. Jin SS. Which Resident Evil game from the Gun Survivor series would you like to see a remake of if Capcom were to remake one? I don't know, maybe the first one. The third game plays more like a traditional Resident Evil game, and the second game is just, I don't know if that's worth seeing again. It was just some what-if scenario, but poorly executed. Although, the post-game extra stuff actually is legitimately interesting. Maybe from that angle. But I don't know, the first game. Diego Odin. Would you have that Resident Evil 4 had been more like the original concepts? Like with the Hookman build or the Progenitor build? I don't know, because Resident Evil 4 like solidified an entire genre, the over-the-shoulder shooter. Like, so many games wouldn't exist if not for that one being so popular. It would be interesting to see the Hookman game, but I don't know if I would rather it had gone down that way, because otherwise it would just be another PS2 horror game, or in this case, GameCube horror game that, like, you're like, okay, I remember games from that era, but Resident Evil 4 is iconic for whether you like its gameplay or not. And are you familiar with the Kamen Rider series? If yes, what do you think of it? Yeah, I've seen a few of the series. I generally like it, but I don't follow it. But I've seen and thoroughly enjoyed O's... What was that Super 90s one? Oh my god, that with that bass line. Kuga and Ryuki. Those were quite enjoyable. Modi Ahmad, what are your top three favorite games of all time? I don't know. Whatever I choose, who knows what the order is, and who knows if my mood will change. I like Deus Ex in the first-person shooter department. I like Streets of Rage 2 in the beat-em-up department. You know, but top three favorite games is just not happening. Epsilon Church RVB. Have you played any of the Metroid games? Yeah, I played a bunch of Super Metroid in high school, I think via an emulator, because a friend really wanted me to try it, because he grew up with it, he had the physical copy. I just wasn't into it. It was slow and floaty, and I didn't care for it. And now it's even worse, because there's so many more Metroidvanias that have come out that just do everything Super Metroid did, but better. So now it's especially slow and floaty by comparison, and not just in a vacuum. I did play and beat a borrowed copy of Metroid Prime 1, though. That game's solid. And the only Metroid games I have to this day, I have the Wii collection, the trilogy, the Prime trilogy. If I were to play these games, if you plan on LPing any of them, would it be the 2D or 3D games? 3D by default because they're what I own, but if I ever were to do a 2D Metroid, it would probably be Dread, because that's the most recent one and it looks the most enjoyable to play. Nick Cooper, what video game puzzle gave you a headache the most? That's actually kind of hard to answer, because I usually just use guides, because I really don't feel like sitting there for 45 minutes to just get to where I was going to be anyway. But you had no choice in the 90s, but, today, do I really feel like taking what free time I have and just sitting there and staring at a screen forever? That is the opposite of fun to me. So I guess I'll go with stuff that I've caught on Let's Plays, like the piano puzzle in White Day, or the chemistry puzzle in, I think it was the second Penumbra game, Black Plague, I think, where you could hear the gears turning in my head while I was playing the game. Otherwise, I would say by far the most irritating puzzles I've played were the Talos Principle, where even with a guide, I was like, oh, this just sucks. The game's brilliant, the puzzle design is brilliant, that doesn't mean I have to like it. I liked everything about the game except for actually playing it. But even when I put the puzzles together, it still was very satisfying. I like what I did. That's cool. Kalyanov Dmitry, have you ever been in other countries? Yeah, Mexico when I was in middle school, and Scotland when I had just graduated from college, and I thoroughly enjoyed both experiences. Adrian DePaul, what do you think about Resident Evil 2, the remake? I don't. I played the demo, and I liked it quite a bit. Although it bothers me that zombies are damage sponges. 4 headshots and they're not dead, really. But the game looks gorgeous, and it looks quite scary. But I still haven't played the full game. What's your favorite band singer? Or band/singer? I'm not usually really good with contemporary music, although I will say I've been following the Gorillas for several years. I got into them way late, but still, I've thoroughly enjoyed just about everything they've done. They produce consistently amazing music. Dino Man 9398. What do you find a better Resident Evil game? The original 2 or the original 3, and why? That's tough. 3 might be better in terms of mechanics. You could just walk up and down the stairs, you don't have to press a button to walk. You had a quick turn, you had a quick dodge, you had a long story where little pieces mattered for the future parts of it. You know, a decision you make now could affect things later. You had a constant nemesis. Mr. X was in 2, but Nemesis showed up more often, and you could choose whether to fight him or not for the most part, or you could beat him with a puzzle thing. You could knock the light down into the water and electrocute him. But Resident Evil 2, I do like the 2 interlocking stories where small aspects of one could affect the other. I have more nostalgia for 2, but 3 might be better, but I like 2 more. Elemental Hero Joe, what is your comfort food? I don't know, pizza, or maybe like spaghetti and meatballs, or as a sort of snack, just peanut butter on Ritz crackers. There's something that's just so quick and easy about that. Do you have any pets? No, although my brother does. Do your family members, friends, or students know about your channel? Yes, no. The family members and friends are like aware of it, but they don't really follow it, and the students do not know. Mysterio, what do you see video games as? Art? Products? Do they influence culture? Are they part of culture? Yes. I mean, I know you can have that debate. What is art? There are some video games that are clearly designed to be art, like Res, like behold, this audiovisual experience. But even games that aren't specifically designed for that purpose can easily be construed as art, and they are, in fact, visual things and audio-visual things that you can appreciate, whether that was the intent or not. So I would say they're art, but they are certainly products. People make them to sell them. You know, they don't produce video games to put up in a museum. They do it so you buy them off of the store shelves and play them. You know, they are products made for money. Do they influence culture? Speaking of which, by the way, do they influence culture? Yes, a lot of things have been influenced from video games, and a lot of games have been influenced from video games, but sure, they're part of culture. But speaking of art, or are they products? Even a lot of classical art, like from the Renaissance, they were commissioned products too. Now we're like, oh, they're high art because they're old, but like, they were things a guy paid for. I want you to draw me and have it look cool. Okay, like that's what they were. It's like Shakespeare plays. They were not designed to be high art. A lot of them are lewd, but they're old, so we're like, oh, it was this genius work. Romeo and Juliet is the greatest love story of all time. No, it isn't. It's not even supposed to be. And it opens with puns and sex jokes. It's not high art. Sorry. Ashtrees84. Oh, excuse me. What's your favorite food? I might still fall back on the pasta and meatballs or pasta and meat sauce or pizza or something. Ashtrees84. Have you played any of Bandai Namco's Tales of games? If so, which ones and what'd you think of them? I played Symphonia. That was the game that kind of put Tales on the map. We technically got Fantasia first, I think. Like the GBA form. I don't know if that came before or after the GameCube Tales of Symphonia, but I played Symphonia. I liked it all right at the time, although I don't think it aged very well compared to Tales of games today, but I liked it fine then, and I emulated, because I didn't have a PlayStation or anything, I emulated Tales of Eternia, which was called Tales of Destiny 2 in the States, which is just a lie, because there is literally a Tales of Destiny 2 that we never got. Eternia was pretty cool. It's hard. It's pretty cool. Kevin Hudson, my favorite Resident Evil game is Code Veronica. What is yours? Probably OG Resident Evil 2. Rhett Buckley, how come some games you stream, Eternal Ring, Armored Core, you show the whole game, while others, like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, you only show bosses? Bloodstained I was just playing on my own. I never intended to LP or stream that, but as I was playing it, I'm like, okay, you know what, this is pretty cool, I'll record this little bit. So I did not go in going, I'm going to do a boss recording session of Bloodstained. It just kind of happened. I wasn't going to record that at all, but normally when I Let's Play or stream, I show the whole game if I can. Would there be another audio horror drama? like you did before with A Voice from the Dark. I would like that. That was not my project, so it's up to whether somebody else wants to do something like that. But that would be great. Are there other board games based on video games you've tried? What do you think of them? I did a little bit of the Dark Souls board game with friends. I would like to do that some more. Have you seen the Shenmue anime? No. I don't know how much I care either. It's just Shenmue 1 again, I think. Maybe including Shenmue 2, but I played those. And God knows it's not going to have a conclusion. The actual Shenmue series doesn't. Which of the graphic novels or still image, live action style LPs or live streams do you prefer in mechanics? Like the escape room puzzle from 999, searching for clues and presenting a case in Danganronpa, going back to a previous time to change an outcome in 428 Shibuya Scramble. Ooh, that's tough. Maybe puzzles. I'm just a sucker for puzzles in 999. And despite what I said about looking up answers, 999 is typically stuff you could figure out. There are only a couple where I was like, I don't know if I feel like this. Although Danganronpa is clever, but it's mostly just contradiction, spot the lie, except with anime flair. Shibuya Scramble, though, I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite, but it's very creative. And what was more interesting to go through with the story and game sections? Oof. Maybe Shibuya, because the time alterations played into the story, whereas in 999 and Danganronpa, it played into the story, but with 999 it was more cool excuses to distract yourself from just reading. How do you compare graphic novel style games or live action still image ones to FMV games? They are surprisingly similar. Like, some FMV games are basically visual novels, except they're movie novels. They're pretty close, actually. I guess FMVs are usually more quick-time events, although we've evolved from that point, with stuff like Contradiction Spot the Lie, or like Sega CD games were quick-time events, but Contradiction or Shapeshifting Detective, those are more visual novel style, I think. Dantex 4 and 20. At what point do you record the intros and outros of the Let's Plays you do? Typically after I've recorded everything. I do an intro after I've beaten the game, so I say, like, well, you're going to see some cool stuff, instead of, I wonder what we're going to see. And the outros I tend to record relatively shortly before I actually upload the end, because I don't want to record the outro super early, because if someone does like a title card or something, or provides some information in the chat or whatever, I want to credit them, so I don't want to have to re-record the outro. On your Patreon, the highest tier lets one choose a game for you to play, but I'm not sure I get the first person to select this might pay once and the 10th might pay more for the same thing. Yet what I meant by that is the highest tier of my Patreon is choose a game for me to play, but you cannot, with the way Patreon works, you cannot have this tier be monthly payment and this tier be one time only. Like, you choose it all of one way or all the other. It's monthly stuff or when I make a product. So I have it monthly. But for the choose a game for me, I just wrote in it, subscribe to me for that tier's worth of payment. Wait for the payment to go through, and then you can go ahead and unsubscribe, so I'll still have your game on the list. Because if you stay subscribed until I get to your game, you're just going to be paying and paying while nothing is happening. If you want to stay on that tier, then by all means go ahead, but I don't want person number 2 to pay, like, who knows how much money over the course of, like, a few months or something, versus person 1 who paid once and got the game and left, right? So just pay me once, and then consciously leave unless you want to stay. So everybody pays the same amount. Like, I'm not forcing the late person to pay more than the early person. And since you reserve the right to say no to a game, is it possible to suggest multiple games at once, so you have alternatives at hand immediately? Sure. I've actually had that happen. I've had whichever game you prefer versus, oh no, I can't do that one, so I'll do this one instead. Sure, yeah. Throw a few at me and I'll tell you which one I'll do. Alyssa Milano. What is your rarest PlayStation 2 game you own? That's tough. I can easily talk about, like, hardest to find, which sounds like rarest, but at the same time, like, Silent Hill 2 is like a common $15 game, but now everyone's holding on to it, so it's harder to find than you'd think. So what does rare mean? But I guess in a vacuum, Do I have it over there? Yeah, alright. In a vacuum, I'll say. Possibly Kuon. This is a double whammy because it's a PS2 horror title and it's a FromSoft game, which nobody cared about then, but they do now. Or the other one... Michigan Report from Hell. This is not a particularly rare game. You could find it easily enough on eBay, even though it's gotten kind of expensive, but what might make this stand out is that this is an English copy. Any European Michigan you get, they have multiple languages on it, so you can easily get the Spanish or the Italian or the German copy and play it in English, but this actually has an English case and manual. I got this from, I think it was actually England. UK somewhere. I want to say England, though. So maybe one of those two. The irony is that Michigan Report from Hell was like a bargain title when it came out. Like, it was a low-budget title. And now everyone's like, oh, this secret European horror game I didn't know about. Lazrule, when are you going to start endorsing Raid Shadow Legends or League of Angels? Male gamers only. Wow. At the start of each and every video. I don't want to. Don't do this to me. Mick Zidrer, what are a few of the best representations of Lovecraftian horror you've seen in gaming? Eternal Darkness is up there. Although it ironically did not directly mention Lovecraft, I don't think. It's just... You know what this is. It's Mantarok. Yeah, that's what that is. But that did quite a good job. And... what was that called? I Let's Played it. The Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. I knew it was Call of Cthulhu something. The beginning of the game in particular with Innsmouth, that was amazing. It turned into a shooter later, but that opening segment was crazy. Magnus, have you tried Elden Ring? And if you have, do you enjoy it? I streamed it for 2.5 hours-ish. I was just kind of messing around, but I've been recording a Let's Play of it. It'll be a long time before that goes up, and this is easily going to be the longest Let's Play I've done. But I am enjoying it. Dave Jackson, besides video games, what do you do to relax? Chill on social media or Discord probably, or read. Did you see any movies? I'm not 100% sure what that means. Like, did I see any movies when? Because obviously I have seen movies, but like, recently? Not so much. I'm really sorry to say this, but the last movie I saw in theaters, because I've been not going to the theater because of COVID stuff, the last movie I saw in theaters was Rise of Skywalker. I gotta see something else, man. I can't have the last movie I've seen in theaters be freaking Rise of Skywalker. If you could be a famous person, living or dead, who would it be? I don't know if I want to be a famous person who was someone else, though. I know that's a non-answer. Will you ever do a top 10 or 100 list of your favorite video game songs or music? Nope. I mean, I can list a few songs I like, I guess, but there's no way I'm doing a top whatever list. Kagato0987, would you be willing to grow a beard and show us what it looks like on you on video? I'd rather not. In fact, I shaved just before doing this video. I let the beard grow out a bit when I'm being lazy because I'm wearing a mask all the time. No one has to know. But when I need to be seen by people, I'm like, alright, I'll shave, fine. Dragon Age, what are 3 less than common books you either really liked or really moved you that'd be good for others to read? I do like a bunch of Roger Zelazny's work. If you've ever heard of him, it might have been because of the Chronicles of Amber. That was on bookshelves a bunch of years back. But a friend of mine has lent me some other books of his, like Mad Wand, but I particularly enjoyed Eye of Cat and Lord of Light. I think I mentioned in the beginning of my Astaroth's Wrath Let's Play, it reminded me of Lord of Light, where the Hindu gods are these high technology, very powerful beings, and humans are just like in mud huts, and they're like, what's happening? It was a really fascinating read. And also, I've been reading some of Pearl Buck's books. If you've heard of her, she wrote The Good Earth, which was a Pulitzer Prize winner at the time, because she grew up, like, she's a white person, but she grew up in China because her parents were missionaries there, like in the... when would it have been? Like the 30s or 40s or something, maybe even earlier, because she wrote that book in the 60s. But it was historical fiction, but it was an intimate look at a particular person in a particular culture in China, and it had little details of how he lives his life and who he talks to and how the city acts differently and their culture. And I think she got like a few minor details wrong, but mostly it was just a fictional but a realistic look at a Chinese person in a small Chinese village. And this was when America didn't know a damn thing about China, so the whole area was the mysterious East. There's a phrase you don't hear anymore, for good reason. But this book was like, Chinese people are people too, and this is how some of them live. And people were like, whoa! So like that was a real educational experience for Americans. So there's The Good Earth. But she wrote a ton more books, and like all of them except for The Good Earth are out of print. Like my dad hunted them down because he really wanted to read more from Pearl Buck. So I read Imperial Woman, which is about a random peasant girl who gets taken into the emperor's service and becomes, I think it was a concubine for him, but like she was going to, it was either concubine or wife, but she was going to like take care of him because he was a very young emperor, and then the mother died, so she became queen regent. So then she went from nothing to just working in the palace and things like that, and learning how to be a powerful person. It's a fascinating read. And then other than King's Quest, what's a point and click you feel could use a remaster? That's tough, because like, I haven't played terribly many of the old point and clicks. King's Quest was kind of where I was at. I've played more of the new point and clicks like Fran Bow and things like that, but it's kind of tough. Also, I'm wondering how liberal I can be with this, because like King's Quest 1 through 4, I imagine is point and clicks, although they're not literally. There's no mouse in those. So like, if you're willing to accept that, like I don't know, one of the Space Quest things, maybe, but I'm not terribly good with the really like the other old point and clicks. Real Cody the Dragon Rude. What is the most valuable thing in any of your collections? It can be books, comics, games. The most valuable thing, like for books, it might be the Future Press. Like Future Press has done awesome strategy guides. I have the Bloodborne, the Old Hunters DLC. They made a specific hardcover strategy guide just for that. But I think it might be for books. The Japanese collector's edition of the Dark Souls trilogy came with 3 books that were just, they consisted of the flavor text across all 3 games. I didn't get that because I can't read Japanese, as freaking awesome as that would be. But I was able to get them kind of anyway, because Future Press released 1 book that was a compilation of all 3. And that has become very difficult to find. You could pre-order it, and then it was gone. You know, it was one of those. I would get that and show it, but it's in the other room. I don't want to make a whole production of it. Otherwise, probably one thing I do have video game style. I have a sealed copy of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which is already, that's already like difficult to get by today's standards, especially because Limited Run Games bought up a whole bunch of these and included them as physical swag for when Night Dive did a remaster or a cleanup and re-release of I Have No Mouth, so you could get this, which would be awesome with it. But the thing is, I ordered this from a 90s ass looking website in the 2010s. Like, I had to mail them a check to get this thing. And it might have been from like the Ellison estate, which was really cool of them, by the way, because when I got this, I didn't order this. They also included the strategy guide with a little post-it on it that said free gift, which was pretty cute. It includes a preface and an interview with Harlan Ellison, and not only is there a straight-up guide in here, like, go to this room, pick up this item, like it's a very efficient guide, but it also has the guide written again as a story, which is really cool, so the guide's bigger than you'd think it would be. The guide, I think, is kind of expensive, but the game is certainly expensive. But what really sets this aside is if you remember this in the 90s, which I don't, by the way, but if you saw this in the 90s, there was a sort of 3D lenticular look on this box where the face is. This doesn't have that. It didn't get this and make it to store shelves. So this is some sort of variant. I don't know if that makes it more or less valuable, but it makes it more novel, I think. Not to be confused with a literal novel. That might be it. Other than that, maybe Kuon, or possibly this one loses a little points. You can't see what the title is this way, but I do have Snatcher. I'm missing the insert, as you can see, and the manual has a little bit of writing in it. The one game in the world where somebody actually wrote notes in the notes section, and it's freaking Snatcher, so this doesn't get the pristine bonus, but it's also novel. When I Let's Played the game a long time ago with Vice, we were using his copy of the game, but eventually I got my own copy. In fact, I think I did have it when we actually Let's Played it, but when Vice first showed me the game, I did not. Trickster Fox, out of every game you've played, what would you say are your favorite to revisit? Something short. Like, when I play something like Horizon Zero Dawn, I love it. But I'm not just going to casually, you know what? I'm going to play that game again. The game's long. I don't want to turn it into an epic. I know that a lot of people really just don't like when games are short today, because they're like, I'm paying $20 for this, I could pay $60 for an 80-hour game, what are you doing? But at the same time, Streets of Rage 2, 30 minutes, done. Boy, that was fun, nice and nostalgic. If I ever feel like playing a game, I'll just do this one real quick, and I beat it. Cool, that was nice. You know, something quick and easy like that. That was the point of those games. You weren't paying $50 for 30 minutes, you were paying it to constantly replay it, because it's just quick and fun. Zarian, what's your favorite female Resident Evil character? That's kind of tough. Maybe Ada, although she really leans into the being mysterious to the point of, like, do we even know what her real motivation is anymore? Like, levels of mysterious, but she is fun, and she kicks ass on her own. Claire also kicks ass on her own, but she gets points docked herself, because in Code Veronica, she was the most badass character ever, until the second half of the game where she wasn't, she was a hostage. Like, oh, okay. But both of them are cool. That said, though, maybe Jill then, because Jill just gets things done, although she also became a weird freaking cat girl in 5. What the hell was that? I don't know, but they're all good in their own ways. Insane Buffoon, do you subscribe to any other Let's Play channels? I don't subscribe to them, I don't subscribe to Let's Play channels, but I do subscribe to to channels that have done Let's Plays before. So, sure. Closest I can think of, though, is maybe Games Done Quick. I guess those are kind of Let's Plays. They're speedruns. Like, I mean, they are. I'm literally watching them play it, so I guess I could call it a Let's Play. But I tend to picture Let's Plays as being, like, just, here is the game, rather than, like, fast. But they are Let's Plays. And what's your favorite beat-em-up? I might still go with Streets of Rage 2. It's just so good. TB69, what are your thoughts on an open-world Resident Evil game? The same thoughts I have in any open-world game. Is the open world good? Because, like, I don't want to just run through endless fields if there's no point. I don't think Resident Evil would do fields, but I love the idea of running through a town. Like, Resident Evil 2 touched upon that. But I don't want that... Like, the thing with open world is because they're so big, like, when you spread yourself thinner, it gets shallower as you go. It can work, but don't just be like, copy-paste, group of zombies here. And over here, too, like, because you lose the soul of it. Part of what makes Resident Evil work is the deliberate placement. Like, Elden Ring's open world does work, but, like, how long did it take to make that damn game? We heard about that years and years ago. But they didn't just go, wow, we're doing an open world title. So, you gotta really concentrate on it. Arena Mix. From games that have pushed the boundaries, what's one that you could say and feel has? I don't know, that there are things that go into edgy, oh, I didn't think they'd do that, territory. There are things that make you think. Literally pushing boundaries, I would say, well, literally, but crossing the fourth wall. Oh, come on, I just had it. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons communicates through the controls themselves. That's a new one. Most favorite survival horror. Resident Evil 2 is up there. I might say Eternal Darkness. I don't know if that's survival horror. It plays like it, but I'm not constantly worrying about ammo counts or health items, you know? So, like, but I love that game. And Silent Hill 2 is way up there. Sabrina Hengel. How did it feel when you first tried or started streaming compared to how it feels now when you do it regularly? I'm more comfortable with it now. It's just like a difference now is I'm like, what game should I choose? What game should I choose when I finish one? Choose something that's easy to do and also like something that people might want to watch. Hunter Wilhelm, what Silent Hill game do you like to play the most? For story or for gameplay? For story, 2. For gameplay, maybe Homecoming. I don't care for the gore equals horror angle of it, but I like that you get to actually use your weapons in a practical manner. The knife can cut things open. The axe can break down boards. Like, it gives me excuses to use different weapons instead of best thing, I'll use that forever now. Like Silent Hill 2, the pipe. I'm just done, right? That's the whole game now. Sanet28, what languages do you speak and what would you like to learn in the future, if any? I speak English. Sorry. I took Spanish in high school, but that was literally half a lifetime ago. I can't hold up a conversation in Spanish. I would like to learn Spanish, and probably Chinese and Japanese. Japanese, I would love to go to Japan one day. Chinese, I have like lots of Chinese students, so it'd be nice to be like more relatable in that regard. Yorat, have you experienced burnout in regards to making Let's Plays? Not really making, like in the moment, but when I'm between Let's Plays, I definitely like to take some time to chill. I just can't do it for months and months because then my channel just stagnates. Fenrir Wolflord, what's been your favorite LP you've done recently or in the past? That's tough, for different reasons. Like Ride to Hell for how funny it was. Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden for how funny it was. Something I've just plain enjoyed. Like, I've just had fun doing it in the moments. Like Eternal Darkness, I was looking forward to that forever. The Souls stuff and Bloodborne has been a lot of fun. Like, there's a ton of things I like for different reasons. Have you been watching the newest Jojo animes, or do you purely prefer the manga? No, I've been watching them. I quite like them, although I'm kind of salty that Part 6 is a Netflix exclusive, and they're only doing 12 episodes at a time. That's weak. And what I really dislike is that the Spoke Rohan Kishibe was Netflix exclusive, because that was part of the Blu-ray set for Part 5 in Japan, and they just took that out in America so they could put it on Netflix. That is a dick move, man. But it was a great set of episodes. Yancey, what games do you want to see remade or remastered? That's tough. I don't know, like there's so much range, right? People have talked about Silent Hill, maybe, or Dino Crisis. Like, I don't know, I don't really have anything in mind particularly. And also, have you heard of the Metal Max series? Would you be interested in Let's Playing them? Yeah, that was a Japanese exclusive series, except for like one game that came out kind of recently, and I don't know if that was a new title or if it was a remaster of something. I looked it up, like it looks kind of interesting, but I don't think it would be the thing I'm really interested in playing, though. It's kind of cool, but not really my thing. What Let's Plays are you looking forward to doing? Probably Resident Evil 4, I've been waiting long enough for that, and Resident Evil 2's remake. And maybe the Valkyria Chronicles sequels. Whenever I get to those, I would like to play them. Jacob P. Will the board games make an appearance again? It was always an interesting and enjoyable series, but I'd imagine it was a nightmare to set up and film. Yeah, it was. I would like to bring them back. I have the Dark Souls, as I mentioned, and the Bloodborne board games. Would be cool to try those out. Yeoden, with streaming becoming a bigger part of your channel, do you think there's a chance for dedicating playlists to your streaming series? Yeah, I've had this brought up before. I'm sorry. I really should do that, so people know what the hell I streamed. Instead of just a generic folder, this is live streams. I really should dedicate to sections so you can tell what's been going on. Kyle Donovan, how long did the Resident Evil 2 and 1 comparison videos take to make? I don't remember how long 2 took at this point, but 1 was something like 3 months worth of editing. Now, to be fair, I was not editing for like 8 hours a day every day or anything. It was a couple hours, but that was an undertaking. It added up. And of course, this is not including how long it took to record whatever appropriate footage there was. Most of it, to be fair, was just running through the game as fast as I could, with my Let's Play counting as the slower, more detailed take, and then I would take my time finding the different parts, but I still had to make it from the beginning of the game to the end for the most part. So that plus about 3 months of editing, that was a lot. Drummer Guy, why do you choose not to stream on Twitch? And do you have intentions on making a Resident Evil 3 analysis video? Twitch, I don't want to divide my audience. Plus, I guess I don't have to implement them, but I really don't want on my own channel the audio-visual notifications, somebody's rating or somebody subscribed. Like, I see that on other people's channels, and it's cool to see them as a viewer, but I try to have like a pure gameplay experience, so I don't want just like I'm going through some emotional moment in the game and then boom, someone's rating. It's just like I don't want that. And making a Resident Evil 3 analysis video at some point, but I have no plans for it at all right now. I have the GameCube game fully recorded, right? That's my Let's Play, but I haven't recorded the other ports. Although fortunately, there really aren't that many. There's Dreamcast, PS1, European PS1, and even then, German PS1, and PC. And then, what's that European PC company, like Explosive or whatever that was? They've done a few releases. Apparently, the European PC version of that game is just freaking butchered. I don't even know if it has mercenary mode. But those are the versions. There aren't too many to work with, so that'll be more doable than Resident Evil 2. Maybe at some point, I don't know. But I haven't been doing anything to contribute to that project in that regard. In any case, those are the questions I have received. Thank you all so much for contributing questions, and I hope that these answers have been sufficient. These Q&A sessions are always fun to do. I don't do them often. I need time to do them, and I need there to be time between them, so if questions exist. But I very much appreciate this. Thank you all very much once again, and until next time, everyone.